welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. Today we're unboxing a game that landed on my top 30 most anticipated games for 2021, and that is Merchant's Cove from Final Frontier Games. Let's go ahead, flip this thing over, take a look at the back of the box, get an idea as to what we have in store, and then we're going to check out each and every component inside the box. Merchant's Cove is a highly asymmetrical Euro game where each player assumes the role of a different fantasy merchant with a unique shop. The merchants can tend to sell their goods to the arriving adventurers at the Cove's piers, the most famous markets in the 5 realms. Each player uses their own set of role-specific components and gameplay mechanisms to produce their goods, increase their shop's efficiency, and, most importantly, get rich. Though the merchants work independently in their specialized shops, they compete against each other to attract customers, influence the demands for goods, and secure sponsorships from the 4 faction halls. To get an edge, merchants can employ local townsfolk to work in their shops as staff, or if they dare to cut corners, they can gain leverage from the corrupt lair of rogues. But at what cost? After 3 days of selling at the markets, the wealthiest merchant shall be declared the winner. It is worth mentioning that the box itself has so much content inside that there will be some overhang when you first get the box, but once you punch everything and sort it, then everything will sit flush inside. When you open up the box, you're going to see a bunch of packaged components. Let's go ahead and check out what's inside this very first pack on top. Just before we go ahead with this package of contents, I do want to mention inside the box underneath of it, there is assembly instructions for the 3D boats, sail shelves, as well as the Alchemist decanter. These are going to come in really handy to help you assemble everything correctly. With the packaging now off, let's go ahead and check out each of these component sheets in this pile. And here is a look at the main game board, and honestly, this thing really pops off the table. I love the artwork in this thing. So I will go ahead and show you the top half of this as well, because it is more of a vertical board. It goes much higher than it does wider. Here's a look at the top of the game board. You can see we've got a full ocean over here. We got some docks and piers, as well as some watermarked areas for the boats in the harbor. And of course, running around the entire game board is the score track. With that top section all out of the box now, you'll see we've got these, which again just keep the structural integrity of the box all together as it travels. Now I can just go ahead and remove these things, as I won't need them going forward. And we're down to the rule book, so let's go ahead and take an up close look at that. Now let's go ahead and dive into the core rulebook, and I just want to show this quite quickly as I'll be touching on it later in the video after we get through the core box. But I highly recommend that if you're picking this up for solo play, you definitely go after the secret stash box, as it adds specific solo modes with unique mechanics built into that gameplay you're going to enjoy as a solo player. So highly recommend you go after this if you want the complete solo experience for Merchant's Cove. But for now, let's continue moving through the core rulebook, and then I'll show you what's inside of here a bit later in the video. So diving into the rulebook, you can see there's beautiful artwork on the outside. We've got our narrative text over here, hello merchant, and then into the core components to ensure you have everything. A nice example of what the game's going to look like laid out on the table. It's going to take 12 steps to get this thing to the table, so even though the box is large, it is not going to take long. Plus, you'll notice as I go through this, there's not a lot of pages to this rulebook. You will get through this quite quickly. The game structure here is broken into an arrival phase, a production phase, market phase, and cleanup phase, and that's exactly what each of these sections aim to teach you, as well as having handy tips on the side as well. And you'll see we continue to move through. We're now at the market phase, and then of course you've got scoring as we get past the cleanup phase at the very back. And you'll see there's lots of illustrations throughout this book as well, and examples and notes and things like that. Moving to the final page, we got some common actions and how to activate staff into your credits and appendix, and that's it, 11 pages. You wouldn't think a game like this would be 11 pages, but you do have a very handy game overview on the back here, ripping you through all the different phases. You can keep this right in front of you as you play. Now remember earlier I was telling you you're going to have room inside the box once you get things organized to put it in and ensure the lid is closed. Here you go. You've got organizers here inside of which you can place all the components once they're built out. There are some other components to go through here. This one is a bag full of gems. You got some really large red gems, and then some very, very small black, what looks to be almost like a bead. And then over here we've got the standees, a whole bunch of them. There's a couple bags inside of here tucked away. I don't know if there's anything embroidered on them, but it looks like they are quite nice. Oh, there is indeed on either side. Here's an up-close look at some of the components in one of the baggies. These are all wooden tokens for the game. A little bit better of an idea as to what these gems and these black beads look like. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove all the trays that are inside of here in order to reveal what is underneath. And I'm seeing punchboards, and that's what we'll be going through next. And just like that, we've made it to the final layer of the core box. We've got some components to go through, so let's take a look at them all up close. And that's going to wrap up the unboxing for the core box of Merchant's Cove. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, I want to show you the secret stash box as well, because it has content inside that solo gamers are going to be very interested in. Let's check out the back of the box for the secret stash. It states, "Had a long trip? Come on in and drink until your sea legs fall off at the Cove Travel. As innkeeper Mr. Nasty of Cavern Tavern fame, you'll need to pour drinks for thirsty customers and make beds for those travelers who are exhausted after a long day at the market. Properly preparing your rooms and selecting which drinks to have on tap will be the keys to a full house and fistfuls of profits. But be warned, unhappy customers are quick to anger and will inevitably start trouble, tarnishing the establishment's reputation." And of course, as it notes here, you need to have the base game Merchant's Cove in order to add the secret stash into it. Can't play this one by itself. Let's go ahead and dive into the components, and I'll show you that solo specific content I was talking about. This is what you're going to find when you first open up the box, a booklet. It states, "Welcome to the secret stash. This box contains a treasure trove of goodies that will enhance your experience while visiting Merchant's Cove. The content contained here is modular, meaning that you can mix and match different parts of it to suit the unique taste of your gaming group. For those playing solo, which is me, I'm raising my hand right now, there are also challenges to increase the difficulty of the basic solo mode that comes in the core box, and scenarios which offer thematically charged content supported by unique mechanics." So this is one of the reasons why I believe solo gamers need to be going after this one to add into the core box. And that's not all, because there are booklets designated for solo scenarios, as you can see here. So we're going to go through this one first, but I really wanted to show you this as well. There's a booklet just specifically for solo scenarios, which I love to see. So definitely want to show you guys what's inside that, but we'll start here to begin. Let's open it up. I think it's only a handful of pages, so it shouldn't take long, but we have our components listed out. There's new corruption cards in this, rogue cards. You've got pirates, you've got the Kraken, ghost sailors, gray walkers, raiders, all kinds of different things you can throw in. It shows you exactly how many to put into the bag, how to add them in, because remember, this is all modular. And then you've got townsfolk sets, and they go through all of those. You've also got new boats that you can deal with, as well as a layer of villainy and hulls of plenty. Continuing to move on, we got the Dragon Island Festival faction leaders, and then you can see right here solo content. This is really important for this channel. Scenarios. The scenarios found in the solo booklet have special goals and rules for solo play. There are 12 scenarios to experience, and many require the use of different rogue cards, townsfolk sets, and other modular content from the secret stash. So the cool thing is, as you go through each of the scenarios from the booklet that comes in the secret stash, you're also going to be using different components that come from the game itself, mixing and matching as you go along. So by the time you're done all the solo scenarios, you're going to see and have used a lot of the different gameplay elements. Continuing on to the next page, it states the rules for each scenario are explained in the scenario booklet. When a rule contradicts the core rules, you follow the scenario booklet. Scenarios 10, 11, and 12 are meant to be played sequentially in a campaign with the same merchant and progress that rolls over between games. So you're not just doing one-shots with these solo scenarios. You have that option, of course, based on how many of them are included, but 10, 11, and 12 can be played together as a campaign, which is pretty awesome. So you also have challenge cards here. They present a series of economic goals to achieve. The longer it takes you to complete a challenge, the less gold you will earn from it. Challenges you neglect to complete will punish you with corruption icons. So, long story short, if you're not finding the game's difficulty for solo play to be too easy for you, the challenge cards are going to bump up that difficulty. Let's continue on. There's only a page or two left anyway, and we get right down to final scoring in the credits, and that's it. So a very light rulebook, not going to take you long to consume yourself, but I really want to show you the solo scenarios next. Now this booklet is a little bit thicker as there's a little bit more going on inside of it. I may not be able to show you every single page, but I certainly want to give you an idea as to how this works. So you've got setup instructions for this particular one. You can see right here, they've got them all broken out by the table of contents, but we'll dive into the first one here and just continue along. And you can see each one is broken out in terms of how it's going to score and how it's set up, and it's going to break that all out for you. Now remember, when you get to those last three at the very back end, you're going to have those to be able to play as a scenario through 10 and 12, which is pretty cool. So 10 and 12, I guess, would be likely something fishy, Benefactor, and Invasion. You can see chapter 1 of 3, chapter 2 of 3, and chapter 3 of 3. So I really like that because you're giving yourself multiple ways to enjoy the solo play. You can do those one-shots and you still have a whole bunch to choose from, and you can still technically do these ones as one-shots, I believe, as well, but they're meant to be played together. So something to look into for sure. Just like the core box, you're going to find assembly instructions inside this one as well, because there are boats to be assembled from this secret stash. All right, we're down to the very bottom of the box here. We've got a couple meeples as well as some cards to go through. So let's go ahead and open these up and take a look at them up close. And that's going to wrap up the unboxing of the core box for Merchant's Cove, as well as the secret stash. Really hope this video helps you make an informed decision on what you can expect to find inside the box when you pick up Merchant's Cove in terms of solo play. Stay tuned to the channel for a future overview video as we dive into what Merchant's Cove has for solo gamers and how the gameplay flows and operates. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.